Hello, everybody, and welcome to this month's Grow Your Law Firm webinar on Sales 101 for law firms. So, thank you very much for your attendance. I've received some interesting feedback about this particular topic from various practitioners around Australia, and some of it positive, some of it people saying, "Well, if this is what the practice of law has come to, then one particular fellow said that maybe it's time for him to leave." But look, thank you very much for your attendance, and it was quite interesting, those couple of responses that I did receive, because it highlights the point why we're running this webinar today, and that point being that what most firms don't focus on in their businesses is proactive strategies for driving revenue into the door. And look, that's sales. That's what it is. It's whether or not you're a legal firm, accounting firm, engineering firm, whether or not you're a retailer, a wholesaler, a distributor, whether you're a bank, it doesn't make any difference. It's all about sales. That's what drives the top line. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about getting some clarification for you and some context for you around what sales means from the perspective of a legal firm, and provide you with some very simple and clear strategies and tools that you'll be able to use and take away in your firm straight away to be starting to implement some strong revenue growth strategies for your firm. So just to get started, I just would like, as I usually do, get a little bit of a feel for who we've got in attendance. So firstly, I'd just like to get a bit of an understanding of whether or not everybody's attended a webinar before, who we've got as new listeners, and so if you can just click a yes or no there, that'd be great. So just a couple more seconds. So thank you very much, everybody. So we've got about half and half today. So 45% of our attendees today have attended to a Grow Your Law Firm webinar in the past. So thank you very much for continuing your support. I really do appreciate that. And I'm really glad that you've joined us again and can take away some of these information and tools. For those of you, 55% who are attending for the first time today, thank you very much. Happy to have you online. I run these webinars every month, so please register. They're free and just full of content and information for you to take away. We've also just want to get a little bit of a feel for where our attendees are located today. So if you could just give us a bit of an outline as to where you're from, Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria or other. That'd be great. So thank you very much. So in terms of our attendees today, 76% from Queensland, 19% New South Wales and 5% Victoria. So thank you very much. Reason for that is we have recently started to expand into New South Wales and even more recently in Victoria. We've been doing this in Queensland for a while now, so it's great to see our some attendees from New South Wales and Victoria. So thank you very much. Okay, well let's get into it. So what we're going to be focusing on today is once again the business planning part of your financially well organised strategy. So here at FWO Chartered Accountants, what we do is we work with clients to guide them to becoming financially well organised and achieving their goals. And a major part of that is really to get you focused on what are the strategies you've got to be implementing in your business to ensure you're achieving those goals. What happens, just to recap for those of you who haven't attended a webinar before, what happens in most firms is they run a business that runs a model of what I call squeezing the orange. And basically what that means is they just keep working, trying to charge out the hours, churn out the hours, and at the end of the day, hoping that the profitability is there. So they spend a lot of their time in the production and delivery area of their business and do ad hoc new revenue activities. And eventually what happens in those businesses, they find it very difficult to leverage and grow. It's like an orange. They keep squeezing it and squeezing it. Eventually, that orange will run out of juice. So what we advocate here at FWA Chartered Accountants is a different revenue strategy. Still, it's critical for you to understand that charging hours and doing the work is an essential part of running a legal firm and generating your revenue. However, it's these three areas that you really need to focus on in terms of revenue creation. You need to focus on strategies that are going to increase the number of clients of the type you want to have, the frequency of purchase, so the number of times those clients buy from you in a year, and then develop strategies that increase the average sale that you make with each and every client, particularly when you look at a client over an annual revenue basis. So, you might have a client that works with you once a year for $2,000. Your strategy is to how do we generate more revenue out of that client? How do we get that from 2,000 to 3,000? That might be by adding more value for that particular sale that you're making or that particular matter you're doing and charging them more, or it might be by selling them an additional service. So we very much focus, we call that the revenue growth equation. So you drive your revenue strategies by increasing the number of clients, the transaction frequency and average sale. However, to get your work into the office so that you can actually do it within the production and delivery area, and you can charge those hours and you can measure your productivity and you can do that work efficiently and collect it, you need to have strategies that are focused on driving your product, marketing and sales. So product being what you actually sell to clients, how you market it, so how you get the message out there so that it creates leads and opportunities, and then selling is how you actually convert it and get the clients to sign up. So your revenue strategy is built around these areas. What we're going to be focusing on today, though, is we're going to be focusing on that sales component of it. So we're working on the basis that you've got some clear product definition. You know what your product is that you're selling. You've got your marketing strategy happening. So you're implementing now sales activities to convert those leads into revenue. So in the next over the next few months, we'll be running our webinar. We'll be running a webinar that's specifically on product development and also on marketing development, as well as production and delivery and client relationship management. I just wanted to start though with sales, because with sales, in terms of the revenue growth equation and those 5 different revenue strategies, you can see from this screen is that sales impacts on everything. So this is what I call the revenue matrix. And basically, if you wanted to grow new clients in your business, you need marketing and sales activities to do that. If you wanted to improve the margin in your business, you need sales and production and delivery strategies in your business. If you want to increase your average sale value, then you can sell more product to clients. You can create marketing strategies, you can create sales strategies, you can create client relationship management strategies. But the focus and the starting point here is really around sales. And the reason that we focus on that first and foremost is because it can impact every single aspect of your revenue strategy. You've got to actually convert those new clients. You've got to actually have a sales process to increase your transaction frequency, so getting clients to buy from you more often. By strong methodical sales process and presentation, you can drive growth in your average sale and margin. If your prices are a bit higher and your cost of labour stays the same, then it produces more profitability. So very much what we're going to be focusing on here is the sales strategy. So that's just to give you a little bit of context there. So sales is this. I was with a firm in Melbourne yesterday, and we were talking a little bit about sales. And the principal of the firm said to me, I really struggle with my sales pitch. And I said to her, well, you know that sales pitch has got nothing to do with making the sale. What? What are you talking about? And this is a misconception that many firms have and many people have, that the key to a successful sales and revenue strategy is in that pitch, is in what you say, that first thing you say to clients or prospective clients. Well, in my view, it isn't. The key to a successful revenue strategy is making sure that you've got clear definition around your product. It's also making sure that the marketing activities that you undertake already have done that pitch for you. And then when you get to sales, it's about these four things. So managing sales is a process. And we're going to run through a simple process here and a bit of a shortened version of a sales process that I use in my business, which applies to every professional services firm. But it's a process. The key is to take prospects and clients through a process that you actually get them to sign off and buy from you at the end of it. The second key component of a good sales strategy is keeping a list. You need to keep a list of who you've got an opportunity or a lead from, and then link that back to the process. I'll show you that in a minute. It's to ask appropriate questions to clients to unlock really what it is they're looking for. So I call that objectives, measures, and values. So we'll talk a bit about that today. And then the most powerful tool, provided you've done the other work in the other three areas, is when you engage a client, you've got to provide them with some options. Don't just provide them with something that is a yes-no answer. That means they've got to say, yes, I'll buy, or no, I won't. Provide them with options, because then they get to choose and they feel in control. So we'll run through that in a little bit more detail as well. So to get started, a little bit more context. People, when they start developing their sales strategies and their marketing strategies to a lesser extent, but when they develop their revenue strategies in their firm, is they think they've got to go out hunting for new clients. They think they've got to go out and find new clients to generate new revenue. But what you may realise, but what a lot of people don't do, is they don't go and focus on their focus on their existing clients first. Existing clients have already had an experience with you. They've already bought from you. Hopefully the experience was a good one. But they've already bought from you, so they know what you do. They know who you are. So from a professional sense, if you're providing additional services to clients that make sense for them and are valued by them, and they understand why they need them, then the first place to start has got to be with existing clients. And what you also need to think of is selling existing products to them. So when I talk about products, I talk, these are your legal services. These are the things that you do for clients. So the first thing to do is to have a look at your existing clients and work out from your suite of products. This is why product definition is so critical. From your suite of products, who's bought what? And the ones that haven't bought particular products, you market to them. And you look to sell those existing products to existing clients first. It's the cheapest and the easiest strategy that you can first of all implement. And usually you've already got a database of people there that you can then start marketing to. You'll have a list, whether it's in Excel or if it's in Leap or if it's an open practice, wherever it is, you can access that list and start marketing to them. Secondly, you focus on selling existing products to new clients. Creating new products is a very expensive and time-consuming strategy. But if you've got existing products, you can leverage straight off them. So then you can start developing strategies around how you're going to sell those to new clients. Then when you jump into the new product area, you then start selling new products to existing clients, because existing clients have already had that experience with you. So if you're selling a new product, you can go to them and it makes sense to them why you're adding that on, or why it's in their best interest that they engage you to provide that particular service to them. And last of all, you focus on new products to new clients, because there you've got two unknowns, a new product and you've got a new client. It's the most risky sales strategy that you can implement. So just to recap, First is existing products to existing clients. Second is existing products to new clients. Third is new products to existing clients, and then new products to new clients. So if you focus on your revenue strategy by looking and analysing your clients and driving them in those categories, driving your strategies in each of those categories, you're going to maximise the probability of generating better sales outcomes. So the first thing you've got to do is set some targets. You got to set some numbers. You got to set some goals. So just as a very quick little poll here, for everyone attending today, just let me know: do you set an annual revenue target that's based on what you're going to sell to how many clients or prospective clients? That's not, and I'm not talking here about your capacity budget. I'm not talking about how many people do we have, how many hours are available, what's their productivity, this is the amount of revenue that we can generate. Here I'm talking about is how many particular products are we going to sell. So thanks, that's nearly everybody voted there, so thanks for that. We've got 79% of the attendees today don't do this, with 21% do it, which is great. This by itself is the first step that you need to take to start developing your revenue strategy, because this is what you measure back from. You need to start saying, well, what is the level of profitability that we want to make in the business? So what's our level of revenue we need to make? So what are we going to sell to create this? So what I've put together for you here is just a very simple little explanation of what I mean by a sales plan. So very simply, it's just saying, well, what are the products that we're going to focus on selling? So you've got to remember, within your firm, you've got a whole range of things you do for clients, right? So you might be a practice that hopefully you don't call yourself a commercial firm. Call yourself a business lawyers, because that actually gets some better messaging for your clients and prospective clients. But you might provide a whole range of different legal services to them. Conveyancing, property, estate planning. You may do some litigation. You've got a whole range of services that you provide. What your sales plan is, though, is a detailed strategy around which products you're going to actually market and then develop sales activities to drive these results. So here's just an example. So I've just taken an example of saying, well, we're going to focus on 2 sales activities for the year. We're going to focus on doing estate work for clients, and we're going to focus on doing business risk reviews for clients. So this might be a business, small and medium-sized client base, small and medium enterprise, SMEs. For a client base, that might be the target market. So what this firm might be then focusing on doing is saying, we want to generate a certain amount of revenue out of this. There's always going to be the reactive revenue that you pick up. So it's the work that the client just comes in and says, I need you to do this. I've got this issue. You'll always have that by the very nature of your business and the development of those relationships over the years. You maintain that revenue stream. That's what makes your business successful. What we're talking about here, though, is proactive revenue strategies that are driving revenue. So you start by creating your sales plan. And you might say, okay, we've got 1,500 clients on our database. What we think is we're going to create a product around estate reviews. We're going to then have a strong marketing strategy that's going to drive inquiry. And what we think is that out of our client base, of that 1,500, 10% of those clients are going to actually buy this product. And that's an estate review for $750. And so if that's the case, then that's going to generate $112,500 of revenue from 150 matters. We're also going to develop, because this is an existing product, we're then going to develop a strategy that's going to focus on new clients. And we're going to get 100 new clients that we're going to convert to buy these estate reviews. So 100% of those 100 new clients are going to actually do that review. So all up, that produces for us a product which might be just a question and answer and a document review process where we produce a simple report for a client that says these are your estate planning issues that you then need to go and address. So that's 250 matters by themselves, producing 187,500. What you then do is you've got an implementation strategy. So you may then need to update wills, you might need to vary trust deeds, you might need to issue more shares in a company, you might need to include testamentary trusts in the will, whatever it might be. But then there's an implementation strategy that rolls out the back of it. So you think that out of those 100 or those 10% of clients that buy from you, 30% of those might need an implementation strategy. And out of the 100 clients that bought the review from you, 75% of those clients might need an implementation strategy where you get more work. That percentage would generally be higher because they're already coming to you with the state needs, where you've got a lower percentage generally with your existing clients because you've invariably done that sort of work with them before. So as a strategy by itself, those implementations produce your target is producing $210,000 worth of revenue at an average fee of $17.50. Some of them might be smaller, some of them might be significantly larger. So that produces 370 matters for the year. What you then do is you might then focus on saying, well, we've got another strategy that we need to do is we want to really engage with our clients about reviewing their business risk. So, a whole range of areas within their business that they need to address. So, we've had the benefit of the PPSR, and we've got issues around terms and conditions and debt collection, and a whole employment law. All of these different areas that will apply to the majority of your clients. So you might create a very simple business risk assessment that you market to your client base. So that might be for $1,500. So you might only have 5% of your clients that want to take you up on that. So with the appropriate product and marketing strategy, and then you're going to target one new client a fortnight that you're going to convert to doing one of these business risk reviews. So 100% of those new clients. So that produces $151,000 worth of revenue and 101 matters. And then a percentage of those might then lead on to additional work. So you might say of those existing clients, 50% of those clients, those 5%, then will buy additional services from us, and 85% of those new clients might also buy from us. So by its very nature, what you've then done is you've created a budget for yourself. You've said what we're going to do from a sales strategy perspective, we're going to focus on these two different product lines. We're going to create product for them, develop a marketing plan, and we're going to be focusing on driving sales strategy to produce these results. So that's all a sales plan is. It's looking at what you're going to be selling, and then who you're going to sell it to, how many of them to produce a revenue. And then you can break that down further and say, well, what are the activities we've got to do on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis to get there? So that's basically what a sales plan is. Then what you need to do is you need to create a process. So step one, what's your targets? Step two is once we've got that inquiry coming in, what is then the process to maximise the opportunity to generate that revenue? So just another quick poll. As out of everyone listening in today, who has got a defined sales process that maximises the opportunity to convert those opportunities into sales and maximise the average sale value? So just a few more seconds to vote there, to register your vote. So thank you very much, everybody. what we've got is we've got 90% of everybody listening in today who doesn't have a sales process, and 10% that do. And I'm sure that the 10% that do understand the value of it. Because what we tend to do in our practices is we systemize the doing of the work. What we don't systemize is the getting of the work. If anybody who's listening in has ever read a book by Michael Gerber called The E-Myth, I'd recommend that you do. It's a really simple little book to read. But what he talks about in that book is systemization, and it's creating systems within your business that increase the probability of producing a certain result. So if you do that around giving advice to a client, then or you do a conveyance, there's a process. Or you create a will, there's a process. We have a personal injuries matter, there's a process that you follow to get from A to B. So sales is exactly the same. You need to create a process that achieves these two things. Maximizes the possibility of closing that sale and increasing the average value of that sale. And so that's the first one. The second thing that average process does is increase the probability of achieving your revenue targets. So without a process, it's going to be very unlikely that you get those results. So we've set the targets. Now, what's the process to make it happen? So what I've laid out there for you is a bit of a condensed version of a sales process that I use here at FWO. So when I get an inquiry from an event, often what will happen is that will come in via an email or a telephone call. Sometimes it might be in person if someone's attended a workshop or something. But we then take that inquiry through a process. So step one is I book a meeting that I'm going to have with that particular based on for that particular lead or opportunity. What I might do in the between time is send them some additional content around what their inquiry is about, so that they can get a better understanding around what it is that we need to be talking about. So we'll then hold that meeting, and part of that meeting, maybe that meeting, or maybe a subsequent meeting to that, but part of that meeting is to get clear on what the objectives, the measures, and the value is for the client. So I really want to know what's the purpose of their inquiry, what they're wanting to achieve, and really starting to engage with them, but also wanting to qualify whether or not they are a match to the service that I'm wanting to provide. What we might then do is book another meeting at that point in time, and might send them a summary of an initial meeting in some sort of a simple report format, and then we book a meeting to present an implementation plan to them. Once I've presented that implementation plan to them, I'd then answer any queries and objections that they may have, and then focus on closing the sale. But what I do is I do this process exactly the same way every time, and everyone in our business does this process exactly the same way every time, because based on the type of product that we're wanting to sell, history has told us this process is the process that is most effective and works to maximize the opportunity to close those sales. So there's a couple of key elements here, and I want to emphasize this with you, is that sales is not a sales pitch. Sales is a process of steps. And the only thing that you need to do in a sales process is book another meeting. So it looks very simple, and you're looking at this word on the screen there, BAM FAM, and thinking, what does that mean? Oh, sorry, I've just realised I had the results up there. But you'd be looking at this screen, you'd be saying, well, what does BAM FAM mean? So I get an inquiry, I BAM FAM it to another initial meeting, then I BAM FAM it to present the implementation plan, then I BAM FAM to closing the sale. And I'm following that step all along the way and providing content all along the way. But all that BAM FAM means is book a meeting from a meeting. The most essential component of any sales process. unless you book a meeting from a meeting, which could be a phone meeting, could be a face-to-face meeting, but unless you book a meeting from a meeting, what will happen is your sales process will stop dead in the water. It won't progress any further. So the critical thing that you need to take out of this webinar today is if you get an inquiry from a client, the only thing that you've got to do, your only outcome you've got to achieve is to book another meeting with them to progress them along this sales process. Bam, fam. The most simplest tool, if you can just get that etched in your head. Bam, fam is the most critical process that you need to adopt and implement around sales in your practice. So that's it. It's creating a process that you follow to produce a result. So sales is like a funnel. You've defined your product so you know what you're selling. You have marketing opportunities, and you keep that tap running so that those leads keep flowing into this funnel. Then you get a lead, you qualify them. That's the purpose of a meeting. And then you've qualified them and you've identified that they want to progress. What you're selling does align to what they're wanting to buy. And then you just take them through a process so that it drops out the bottom of that funnel as dollars. Now, the next thing you need to do from a sales perspective is keep a list. Really simple stuff, guys. Keep a list. How many of you keep a to-do list every day? And I know you can't answer me, but I bet most of you do. Whether or not that's a list that's written down or something that's in your head, you get to work and you say, I've got to do this and I've got to do that. And usually that's in terms of the client work that you've actually got, that production side of the work. One of the most powerful simple tools that you can use is just a list. Who are the opportunities that we're working on, and where are they up to in that sales cycle? Where are they up to in that sales process? So I'm going to show you a very simple tool that I've put together that people can use, which is just a simple sales management system that's just built off Excel. But basically what the list is to keep track of that sale process through these seven key steps. First of all, listing out all the opportunities that are identified. The next step is you've got to book a sales meeting. Then in those sales meetings, you've got to hold the meeting. Then you've got to present an implementation plan. So we'll come back to that. That might be your cost agreement. It might be another sales document, but basically it's the presentation of getting instructions from clients to say, this is what we're trying to achieve, you're needing to achieve, and this is how we're going to help you do it. Tell us that you want to proceed. Answer the queries, get a verbal approval, and then you get your signed acceptance, which may be your cost agreement. It might be another step that you have another document before that. But keeping a list allows you to follow through this process, so you can keep track of where every opportunity is in your practice. So if you think back over the last, let's just think back over the last 2 months. Can you guarantee that you have followed up and taken through a process every single opportunity, be it just a simple email or be it an inquiry from a client, or even then from a sales perspective? That's reactive stuff. From a sales perspective, where you've gone and created a process where you might have run a marketing strategy around, let's just use a webinar as an example. You might have run a webinar for your clients on business risk assessments and why it's important. They need to consider all these areas in their business. And then you've got an inquiry, you've logged that somewhere, and then you've followed through that process to make sure that they've stepped all the way through. How many of you actually would have kept a list of those and maximised every single one? So I'm just going to ask you that question now. Do you keep a list? Do you keep a list of every opportunity and every lead that comes into your business? Because it makes sense. You keep a list of all your matters you've got open for clients, the work that you've got to do. So let's think of what happens before then. You've got to think of, what have I got to do to keep a list of all the opportunities to make sure we've got that work that's coming into the office. So a more encouraging result here. We've got about 38%, so just over a third of attendees today actually do keep a list of all opportunities, which is fantastic news, guys. Well done. For those of you who don't keep a list, look, the simplest thing to do is just have a pad that's next to your phone that you write down the name and date to start with and what they called about. If you just do that by itself, then at least you're going to have a prompt to say, I need to go back and call them up later on. What I'm going to show you now is a very simple sales management tool that you might want to use. I'm actually going to give this away to all of you if you're interested in it. Free of charge, it doesn't cost anything. Clients of mine use it already. But it's just a very simple Excel spreadsheet that I've put together that allows clients to actually have a tool in their business for trapping this information. So I'm no Excel expert here, so this is a pretty raw, simple tool that people can use. If we've got some real Excel experts listening on today, and if you get hold of this, please don't pull it apart. But any feedback as to how I can improve it would be great. So I'll basically produce a simple index here, which drives you through your spreadsheet. But basically, what you do is you just have some firm data that you put in. So you can just click here on firm data, and you just basically put in here. Might just correct the spelling too, but you put in the name of who is going to be responsible for managing that lead. So usually that'll be the principals in the firm. You might have a list of different areas of law, so your matter list, and you might also want to track where that inquiry came from. So you just create that list in those coloured areas there. Then what you do is you can start logging every opportunity that comes into the business. So I've just pre-filled this, but I just want to show you how simple this is as a little tool that you can use. So you might have today got an inquiry that's come in from your marketing activities that are driving that sales. So you just pop the date in, and then it produces for you the financial year that it rests in, and that might have come from Barry Jones, and Barry is an existing client of the firm, which you just click on the drop down list. The source though might have come from the webinar that you held, and in this instance he's a client of Mary Brown's, and the product that he's looking at buying is some estate planning work, and basically it's an estate review. The estimated amount for that particular sale was $750, and what we've done is we've just identified that opportunity. Sorry, we've identified that opportunity. It's now logged on there. It hasn't been opened for very long. It's because it's just today. So just to give you a little bit of an idea, this allows you to then see, well, how long has this matter been sitting in limbo, and then where's it up to? Where is it in the process? If this was put in there from 1st of the 2nd 13, then it shows here that's matter's been opened 103 days. So basically all you do is you can then keep you're keeping a list of all of your activities, and you just keep updating which stage is at. So you might have got that from Barry, that opportunity. He's dropped you an email. You've actually given him a call, and you've booked in that sales meeting. You've then had the sales meeting, and how you hold the discussion with him, and then you've got to produce your implementation plan or proposal to him. So what it does, it allows you to just keep track of that. And then when you might have also here this Banana Enterprises opportunity above it. You might have presented your implementation plan to that client, but they've decided that they don't want to proceed. So now that matter's closed, and we didn't get any revenue from it. So it's just a way of keeping track of that. And then what I've done is I've built in some very simple reports that allow you to take this data and filter it and keep track of where things are at. So you just go back to the index and you say, well, okay, let's just have a look at what the number of the opportunity dollars are that are in the practice at the moment. And I just want to have a look at what's in the. I'm going to look at all years that are in that are open, and it's going to be looking at all owners, or you can just choose which principal it is. And then we're going to be focusing on everything that's open so not including closed. And then I just can simply refresh that data and it'll automatically update from that list of opportunities. What you can then do is you can have a look and say, well, okay, we've got $25,000 worth here at verbal approval. Who are they from? I'll just make that a little bit bigger so you can see. So it then just goes back to that list and pulls up who's at that verbal approval stage there. So just a very simple little tool to keep track. So, keep a list, but if you like to, I'll just need you to email me after this and I'll flick you through a blank copy of this, this spreadsheet for you to use. So just progressing, that's all you need to do. Keep a list, keep track of where everything's up to in your sales process and keep progressing your activities through that sales pipeline. The next thing is thinking about when you're having those conversations with clients, you've got to make sure that you ask them the right questions. And I could create a whole different webinar on this topic by itself, and I may do so in the future. But there are 3 questions that you really want to ask your client, because these are the key things that you need to know. First of all, you'll need to know what the client wants to achieve. Secondly, you need to know how the client will know they've achieved it. And then you want to know if they achieve those outcomes, what will it mean to them? That last question is the most critical thing, because it's about what the value piece is for the client, not the value is that you think it's worth. It's what value they think it's worth. Sometimes that can be a number, sometimes that can be even just peace of mind and being able to sleep at night. It might be just finally putting an issue to bed and resolving it. So once you've engaged with your clients through a sales process and you've got to the point where you're going to ask them to say, do you want to buy this from me? They're the 3 things you need to know. What do you want to achieve? How will you know you've achieved it? And if you achieve your outcomes, what will it mean to you? The 3 killer sales questions. Objectives, measures, and values. Objectives, what do you want to achieve? Measures, how will you know you've achieved it? So how can you measure that? Value, if you achieve those outcomes, what will it mean to you? Critical questions. So I've just brushed over those pretty quickly. But you really need to get your head around, as part of a sales process, building those questions into your process. And then last of all, what you need to be doing is offering your client options. So if I just go right back to the start here, when we look at our revenue strategy, and we want to increase the number of clients, frequency of purchase, and the average sale. This little tool by itself, this little process by its very self, is the key tool for driving up the average sale of every engagement that you do with your clients. And that is as simple as offering your clients options. And I'm not much of a McDonald's eater, but if you go into McDonald's, you can buy your Diet Coke in 3 sizes: regular, so small, regular, and large. And human nature is that you choose one of those options. If you ask a client, do you want to buy something, sign this cost agreement, then they've got 2 options. They've got the option of yes, and they've got the option of no. So this is part of sales psychology, where if you are offering a client options, then what they get is they don't have a yes, no question asked to them. They have an option of 1, 2, or 3. And with each of those options, they are then in buying control. They don't have to say, just what your one price is, that's what that estimate is, I have to buy that. Now, I only want you to do option 1 for me, or no, I don't, I want you to do option 3 for me. So providing your clients with options creates them with the opportunity to stay in control, but it also provides them in a risk-free environment to be able to choose a more expensive option that'll help suit their needs. So the ability to offer options to clients is critical when it comes to increasing your average sale. So I often have three options with clients. No more. Try not to have any less. But those three options I generally structure around what I call self-help, option 2 some help, and option 3 is full help. But in every instance, each of these options must meet those objectives, so those objectives of the client, but they must be priced according to a client value. So if the value that this service or this product or this legal solution that's applied to it by the client is low, then the pricing of that doesn't matter the amount of work that's involved, the pricing of it won't be able to be high. But if that value is significant and critical and it's required now by a client, then it gives you a greater scope for your pricing. So often you've heard that the phrase of value pricing coined. Ron Baker's an advocate of that. But this is one mechanism for how you align value pricing to your pricing model. And it's not for every assignment, but what it does, it allows you to price what you do in accordance with the client's value. So I know we've run a little bit over time here. I've just got a few things more to wrap up, so please just stick with me for a few more minutes. But I'll give you an example here now of what these options might be. So let's just say it's for a simple transaction or for a transaction for a client. The client comes to you and they've got an issue that they need to address, and it might be, say, around a restructure. And originally what you might think is that what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you the advice around that, and that's what I'm going to do. And it's a very complex area. But if you just give that as an option to a client, that might cover off a whole range of issues around employment law. It might cover off issues around taxation. It might corporations law issues. It could be a whole range of issues. It could be a client that's looking to sell their business. So they want to understand a bunch of those issues. So what you might do is you say, once you understand what their objectives are, you understand how important it is and what the value to them is of getting this right, what you might do is you provide them with these three options. One is a letter of advice. So that's self-help. I'll give you the advice and you can go off and do it. Option 2 then might be some help. So I'll give you that letter of advice, plus what I'll also produce from you once we've agreed on that advice and your actions to go forward. We'll produce for you a legal document, and that might be a contract of sale. It might be an assignment of a lease. Whatever it is, you'll produce the legal documents for them. So that gives them some help. They still need to go off and negotiate the sale and make sure they're covering everything else off that they need. But option 3 might be full help. So it might be option 2, doing the letter of advice, doing the legal document, but also facilitating the transaction for them, standing side by side with them so that you're integral to that transaction. So in each of those instances, each option is going to make it easier for the client to achieve their objectives. First of all, they'll know that they get the advice right around the structure. Second of all, they'll know they'll have a right document. Third of all, they'll get the transaction facilitated for them. But in each option, it adds more value to the client, and then naturally the price is going to increase. And depending on what that value is, that'll deter to the client. It'll depend on what the pricing is on each of them. So that's just a simple example of how offering options and then building on those options by creating more value, you can create processes within your sales systems, your sales processes to drive that average sale upwards. So I just want to say this, that your standard costs agreement is not a sales document, but most of you will use it as a sales document. I haven't seen a good costs agreement yet that has got a sales document component. It's something that, for those of you who've read any of my information or content, or those of you who've listened to previous webinars, I advocate that with a costs agreement, you have a simple language letter that summarises the main points in plain language for your clients to understand. Prior to that, or even within that document, you may include a different sales document that provides those options for clients, that allows them to choose. that allows them to be in control of how much they're going to spend with you and how much they want you to do for them. So your standard cost agreement is not a sales document. So just to recap, from a sales perspective, it's understanding that sales is a process. The key is to bam-fam, book a meeting from a meeting, take a client through a process to maximise the opportunity for them to sign up and increase the average sale. Secondly, you need to keep a list. First thing, set a sales plan. Set your targets by product and price. Then, how to have a sales process. Thirdly, keep a list and keep track of it. So you know where clients are in that sales process. Thirdly, you need to ask questions, objectives, measures, and values. And lastly, provide your clients with options so that it's not a yes/no answer and they can choose how they buy and engage with you. So as usual, what I offer to everybody who's attended these webinars, and for the first 15 today that email me, at matt@fwo.net.au, is a free 45-minute one-on-one consultation regarding, that's not our firm strategy, that should be your firm strategy. Just to talk about what's happening in your practice and talk about what it is that you need to be focusing on. And I work with a lot of legal firms and other professional services firms in implementing these sort of strategies and these sort of models around driving profitability and cash flow. So I'm sure that there is something that you'll have happening in your practice that you might just want to take a moment out to run by me and maybe set you on the path to driving improved profitability in your firm. And on top of that, a free copy of the sales management system. So that was the Excel spreadsheets that allows you to keep track of where your sales are up to. Absolutely free of charge, both of those, and no obligation. And just a couple of other final little points to wrap up on from a marketing perspective. You may have received over the last month our annual accounting service promotion, where what we provide to all of our clients is a fixed annual accounting service where all of your compliance needs are financial statements, tax returns, trust account audits, ATO, ASIC, including tax planning reviews, are all structured and bundled into a fixed price agreement, and our clients pay those off via monthly instalments over 12 months instead of in single amounts that most firms charge. That covers all accounting and compliance needs and includes unlimited telephone calls and emails. If you haven't already done so, please go on to our website, financiallywellorganised.com, and register for the FWO Legal Firm membership. Basically, that's just provides those members, it's a free membership, it just provides them with some additional services and additional content from time to time, as well as unlimited telephone calls and email contact in case there's anything you want to ask us about your firm. We've got our next FWO Growth Club happening or starting on Monday next week. We have a number of our members on this call, so welcome guys. Can't wait to see you on Monday. I have our next one that we'll be launching in Sydney in July and August. So for our New South Wales our listeners today, if you wanted to register your interest, just drop me an email and we can schedule in a time just to have a 15-minute chat to run through in a bit more detail what the FWO Growth Club is about, and also start talking a little bit further about getting you to join that next club. So once again, offer today, just if you wanted to, just email me and I'll get my PA Amy to schedule in a 45-minute consultation with you, free, one-on-one. We can talk about anything about your firm. I'll drop you a little questionnaire just to give you a little bit of data beforehand. And also for everybody who's registering for that free one-on-one strategy, I'll also email you a free copy of our sales management system. So thank you again for your attendance today. Watch out for our webinar around this time again next month, where we'll be focusing on other strategies that you can implement in your firm to help you grow your law firm. So thank you very much and talk to you again soon.